Hello and welcome to the Light Logic acrylic painting practice for the Utensils Reflections project. To get started, you will need your Light Logic painting practice worksheet, a cup of water, some acrylic paintbrushes of various sizes. You will need some acrylic paint. We are going to be painting this monochromatic, so you'll need one color plus black and white. Grab a pen and a pencil and a paint palette for mixing paint. Okay, let's get started. I'm first going to get my paints all set up. It looks like my blue is a little watery. That's okay, we'll work with it. Next, I'm going to pre-mix some values. I'm going to mix my dark colors into my light colors to not waste paint. So remember, we're creating a monochromatic painting. Monochromatic means one color. So my one color here is blue, and I'm using black and white as my values. And once we have a color palette all set up, we're ready to start painting. We are going to start with our value scale, and as you can see that it will go light to dark. We have 5 values here, so I'm going to start with my blue color straight up right in the middle. Now remember, some paints are transparent, some paints are semi-transparent, and some paints are opaque. Our goal is always to make our paints opaque. So that means that I may need to go back and apply another coat of paint over this. As you can see, I'm using a flat brush. This helps me get clean edges. So it's always great to practice brush control even when you're just completing a simple worksheet. Let's let this dry before applying another coat, and we'll move on to a lighter value. Now the goal here of our value scale is to get a slow transition from light to dark. It is looking like this value here is a little on the light side compared to my blue. That's okay, we can go ahead and add some more pigment to it later. And remember, we do dark into light, so I'm going to easily be able to add some blue into this white. Here we go. Grab some blue, mix it into that blue-white, and we're going to get a darker value than the color we just had. And this is actually a better transition from going from that blue into that baby blue. Continue practicing brush control, and if you need to, turn the brush or even turn the paper. So now looking at my color palette, it looks like my lightest color is really, really light. So I'm gonna then go ahead and add some of my blue white to that lightest blue white, just to darken it up a little bit more. Remember, dark into light. And once we have the value we want, let's go ahead and paint that last light square. So by adding white to a color, we are creating a tint. By adding gray to a color, we're creating a tone. By adding black to a color, we're creating a shade. For this monochromatic value scale, we're only going to be working with tints and shades. So far we've created 2 tints of 2 different values. We've placed the color blue down, and now we're going to be applying a shade. Again, when mixing paint, we mix dark into light, and I'm going to go with a little bit of black at a time so that my color still looks like it has blue in it versus just looking like it's black. A color is the most intense at its purest saturation right out of the tube. As we add values to a color, black and white, and even gray, we start to dull down our color. This is going to be very important for our next project. If we are trying to match super intense saturated color, then we're going to want to use either no black and white or very little of it. Moving on, let's do our last value here. This is going to be my darkest value. So my goal is to make sure that it is darker than the one to the left. I'm going to add just a little more black to this to darken it up. And then let's see if I got it a little darker than the last one. If not, I can add more black. Let's add more black. Continue practicing that brush control. Once I'm done with this box, I'm going to double check my values, let this dry, and apply a second coat if it needs it. Okay, moving on to the valued sphere. This is not your traditional valued sphere. We're looking at a reflected valued sphere. So the light logic is going to be a little bit different for this. I would start by lightly sketching in some of the shapes that you see. Now don't forget to look at your image. The rule of thumb here is to draw what you see and remember what you know. So we know that there's a highlight, reflective light, core shadow, midtones, and a cast shadow here, but we're also looking at a reflective object, so we're going to see lots of different things in this one sphere. Now keep in mind this is preparation for the Utensils Reflections project, so it's important to really look at those reflections, those odd shapes that you see, and sketch them in. And don't forget about the subtle cast shadow on the surface. Okay, now that we have everything lightly sketched in, let's go ahead and begin painting. There is no right or wrong way to approach this. Some artists like to work light and then go dark. Some artists like to work dark and then go light. Here I'm going to demonstrate light to dark. Now keep in mind that color is relative to what surrounds it. So right now, this lightest color looks pretty dark because it's on a white surface. But once I add all my other values, this color may need to lighten up later. So something appears dark because it's next to something light, and something appears light because it's next to something that is dark. So I'm going in here and only working with my tints. That's my blue mixed with my white. I'm looking at my reference image, and anywhere that it looks light, I'm going to add my tints to it. Now looking at the reference image, notice how it is lighter towards the top of the sphere and it gets slightly darker as it goes towards the bottom of the sphere. So I'm going to go ahead and mix a little bit more blue into my white, my dark into my light to get a darker value of that tint. Now once again, this is a reflective object, so I'm seeing lots of different highlights. So there will be areas that I'll be adding a lot more white to really get that highlight to pop. Also keep in mind that our goal here is to create something that is opaque. So I will need to go back in and add an additional coat over my painting as I go. Once I have all my tints down, I want to make sure that I clean my brush really well before picking up some of my blue and applying it to my sphere. Now looking at my sphere, I'm going to apply this blue to all the dark areas. I know that I'll eventually need to add some shades to this, but let me just start by getting rid of all my white areas. Now looking at my reference image, there are some areas on the sphere that are pretty hard edges, and there are some areas that have some soft edges. So you can take a wet brush and blend to soften some of those edges, and then a nice clean brush to get nice clean edges. Now that I have a base coat on my entire sphere, I need to now look at my reference image again and make some adjustments with my second layer of paint. So I'm going in and darkening and lightening some areas and softening and hardening some edges. This time I'll apply a little bit of a shade, that's my blue plus my black, to really create that contrast. While this is drying, we're going to move on to the background. We have a very subtle cast shadow, and since my edges are not super clean, and I probably should have started with this first, I'm going to go ahead and fill in a background color. Now we know from light logic that if a cast shadow is very small, kind of more on the fuzzier side, the light source is further away. The closer the light source is to the object, the harder the cast shadow will be. We can also tell what direction the light is coming from because of where that cast shadow is. It is harder to tell with the highlights because there's so many highlights, this being a reflective object. But with the cast shadow, we can tell that the light is coming from the top. So notice that I did go around and get a nice clean edge around that sphere. And now I switched my brush to my flat brush to kind of fill in the bigger spaces and get a clean edge in that square. For the background color, I went with a little bit of a darker tint because the highlights are lighter than the background. And I needed to go back in and adjust my cast shadow to darken it up slightly. Okay, now that we're done painting this, our last step is to label our light logic. Now, once again, this is challenging because it's a reflective sphere. So you may have multiple highlights, you may have multiple reflective lights. Rule of thumb is that the lightest part of the object is usually the highlight. It doesn't always have to be white though. The cast shadow is always on the surface and being cast from the object. The core shadow is usually where the object no longer touches the light, and it's usually the darkest part on the sphere, except for this one because we have reflective light. And the reflective light is anything that is bouncing back into the object. The light source comes down, hits the sphere, and hits the objects next to it, and the light from that bounces back into the sphere. The reflective light is relative, meaning that it could be light or dark, and it really just depends on what is being reflected onto it. And last but not least, we have our midtones. The midtones are the range of values between the brightest highlights and the darkest shadows. Basically, all the values in between the highlights, the core shadows, the cast shadows, and the reflective light. And just like that, this concludes the light logic painting practice. Our next steps are to complete the acrylic paintings techniques worksheet. Please look for the tutorial in the comments below. Thank you so much.